Hello and welcome to our podcast From Noise to Sound, presented from HSLU. I'm Dimitrios Marinos, your host, and together we'll have an interesting journey down the road with this podcast. For me, actually, starting a podcast, it doesn't seem to be that easy since you have to control a lot of things. You really have to have the right people, the right guests, to understand the technology, to understand what makes a podcast interesting. So bear with me to this journey. I'm a really newbie here. And of course, my aspiration is not to make the best podcast in the world, but actually to make a podcast that I give you enough food for thought for around 30 to 40 minutes to motivate you, have a good time, and hopefully take something out of it for your own personal journey. So why did I start this journey with this podcast? So when I go back to the time where I was a student or young professional, I didn't have the possibility to reach out to people who have already been successful in their field and ask questions, how did they do it? Usually we experience their part of the success that everyone can read in articles or see the numbers and so on and so forth. But very rarely we know the story behind the people and the journey, the difficulties, the challenges, the risks that they have taken in order to reach this level. So this is my motivation for this podcast, to try to find out how these people navigated themselves throughout their course of work and studies or whatever they are doing in order to reach the level they are. And it doesn't have to be a person who's a CEO or very successful in society, but it's important is the story of the person. What these people do to change their mindset, to change their life and make it more meaningful to them, and how this is reflected to other people. This I find personally very fascinating to every human. So I'm really trying to deep dive in such discussions. In this way I earn, but I also feel very connected to the person, vice versa. So bear with me, stay with me, try to motivate me by giving me a feedback. Who would you like me to invite? What kind of discussions would you like to hear? But also be critical. What you don't like, what should I avoid in the future? What do you find annoying? This is the only way I can be better and make this initiative also count. So I have created 3 channels: Spotify, YouTube, for those you like to hear podcasts directly either from your phone or PC, or if you're not mobile, during your work, flying, whatever. But also I have a channel in LinkedIn, From Noise to Sound, where I will post articles, studies, and interesting information that you might find interesting and you can relate yourself, get teased, but also find it as channels to communicate with me directly if you like. So as I mentioned, please give me your feedback. That would be very welcome. And I hope really from the deepest part of my heart that you really enjoy that, because I really put a lot of work on one side, but also a lot of my intellect and soul to make it as warm as possible for the guests. First of all, that they feel comfortable and really open in these discussions, but also to make this a little bit different type of podcast for the spectrum of university environment. I hope you like it, and I can't wait to engage with you further on.